My favorite part of 7th period history class was exploring the Renaissance art, enjoying how people brought back from the Middle Ages to Rome to the Renaissance and added humanism and perspective. And that is why that was my favorite part of 7th period history.
The most interesting thing I learned in history this year was the Renaissance art, because how it was like real 3D and had a perfect perspective.
The most interesting topic I learned this year was the Renaissance art, because it had perspective and had lots of realism. It was 3D and it was mostly based on humanism.
Interesting history topics I learned in the 7th grade year was the Renaissance in general, because of its amazing art as its perspective, and not just its perspective, it makes you feel like the art is coming to you. Also in the new inventions that they created in this time.
My favorite thing I learned in 7th period history class in this Coltey was about the Renaissance, because even after all of the death that happened in the Middle Ages, people were able to come back and make many advancements to society with inventions and art.
In 7th period history, my favorite thing that I've learned about this year has been the Renaissance. The reason is that
It's okay, you should can.
My favorite thing I've learned in history class has been about the Renaissance. The reason is that the Renaissance created all these new ways of art, from it being flat like the Middle Ages to it being 3D and have perspective like in the Renaissance.
What I learned during the Renaissance, during world history, is that the Renaissance focused more on humanism and added perspective.
The most interesting topic that I learned in history this year was the Renaissance, because their art was very detailed and it had perspective and it wasn't three-dimensional.
The topic that I liked was the Renaissance. I liked the Renaissance because it had realistic art and they didn't just focus on religion. They also made beautiful buildings and had sports.
The topic in history is the Renaissance because they changed art.
My favorite topic in history was the Renaissance because of the big influences they made on art.
My favorite subject this year was the Renaissance because of how art changed and it got better, so it went from flat to three-dimensional.
The most interesting thing to talk about in history was the Renaissance because they had amazing art and artists.
The most interesting topic I learned in history is the Renaissance. The Renaissance art had 3D effects and realistic features.
My favorite history is the Renaissance. There are many good works of art because of the Renaissance art.
This year, the Renaissance art was the most interesting because they brought art to the whole new level.
This year in world history, my favorite topic was the Renaissance because they had better and new ways of lifestyle.
This year in world history, my favorite topic would be the Renaissance because they revolutionized the inventions we have today.
The most interesting topic that I thought was the most interesting this year was China, because of their many great inventions like paper and the gunpowder that we still use today.
To me, the most interesting topic I've learned this year was China because their inventions were creative and it was amazing of them to advance society with their inventions today.
To me, the most interesting topic is Reformation, from people like Martin Luther, who inspired to change people's religion today from everyone who thought unfairly of other people who went by their traditions.
This year in world history, the most interesting topic we learned was Japan because of their hand fashion. Their fashion has bold colors and was very unique. They wore loads of silk clothing showing how rich they were.
My favorite topic in history definitely was Japan because their samurai, the weapons and battles that they were just so fierce and just interesting.
The most interesting topic I have learned this year was ancient Rome because the Romans accomplished many achievements in government, engineering, art, architecture, and in philosophy. Also, many of those achievements impacted our society today.
This year in history, the most interesting topic I read would be Rome because I think it's unique how their laws and citizenship helped their empires grow and survive for many years.
I think Rome was my interesting topic that I learned this year because they came up with laws and religion.